Do you worry about the future and what is happening in the future? And does that keep you awake at night or during the day, distract you from your job or any task you have at hand? Well, I'm here to tell you that the future can't hurt you. If anything, you're the one who the future should be worried about if the future were a persona. I want you to know that worrying about the future is futile. What you need to do is concentrate on the present moment. Be present. Be here now. And that, my friends, will take away the distraction that is the future. Here's the key to that. Every one of us has what is known as volition. Volition is our ability to decide, to feel, to act, and to respond. When we acknowledge that our volition, that's our power within us, is ours to own and ours to control and ours to manage, then we take control of our mindset. And we can then decide and know and be aware. That's really what the key to mindfulness is, being aware that we control our inner sense of who we are and what is going on within us, to include our anxiety. Because worrying about the future just causes a lot of anxiety. I've said in a previous video that focus on the 1% of things that matter. The 99% don't matter, and that's what causes our anxiety. But today I want to focus on this thing called volition. And I want you to realize that you are the one who is guiding the ship. If you were, you're the pilot, you're the captain. So when I say volition, what I'm trying to say to you is that you're the one who is in control of that. You own that. It's yours. You tell yourself how to think, how to act, how to feel, and how to respond. And knowing that, that will focus your attention on what you're doing now and kind of keep out or put some boundaries or some guardrails around external factors. But here's the real thing I want you to know, and that is the future depends on us focusing on it, what's coming to us, a time in advance, a time down the road, some hour, day, month, year beyond the present. If you can focus your mind on just the present, be here now, and concentrate, get drilled in, zoned in, locked in to what you're doing now, you don't have time to worry about what's going on in the future. And that, my friends, is really what allows us to moderate our temperament and our emotions from any minute to the next minute. What I want you to realize is that being present or being here now is what you're striving for. Be here now. Focus on the one task that you're doing in the current moment. People think they're brilliant because they can multitask, or they can do 3 or 4 things at one time and do one thing, do another, come back to the one that they started on, and they feel like they're being very productive. But in reality, the brain only wants to do one thing at a time. So if you establish some continuity in your actions, in your focus, in your concentration, that puts you in the present moment. Now, how do I know that I'm in the present moment? Well, tune in to your body. You should be able to feel your body. Now, if you're a person that has a lot of pain, you know what your body feels like from any moment to the next moment. But many people, we don't really feel that much. Like for me, I'm in zero pain. I'm very comfortable. I just came back from the gym, worked out, stretched and ran and walked. So I feel really good. My body just feels, it just feels normal. I don't really have any feeling. But to get into my body, I can just focus on my breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. And that is what we call being mindful. By focusing on my breathing, that brings me right into the present moment, and I can get in touch with my body. And that is where I want you to focus in order to get yourself centered on the body and being present now. Because when you're in the moment, when you get into this thing that we call flow, you are, in essence, allowing yourself to go as if you were floating down a river. The flow of the water takes you where you want to go. And that means that you are really just moving along, chilled out, drilled in, concentrating, focusing on what you're doing right now. And that, my friends, will eliminate distractions and it will take your mind off of the future. Let me tell you this real honest story. When I just got out of college about 1984, which is a long time from now, it was way back in the past, I took a job in Pensacola, Florida, working as a photographer and a writer for a newspaper, a small paper called the Pensacola Voice. And one of my jobs was to work in the dark room. And I would go into the dark room in the morning around 8 o'clock. And my task was just to develop prints, pictures. This is the old school method that were taken from the previous day. So my coworkers would give me the film, I'd process the film, and then I would make the prints in the dark room. And there were these special lights you use that prevented the film from being exposed to light. And let me tell you something. When I got locked into that dark room and started focusing on the prints, every day without fail, the time just flew by. I get there at 8 o'clock, and before I knew it, it was 12 o'clock, and I didn't know where the time had gone. That's what we call flow. And that is the objective that we're kind of aiming for, is to just lock in. Lock in on what you're doing right now, and that will, I promise you, remove the distractions of the future. And that's why I say, if you're focused on the here and now, the future can't hurt you. Now, someone is going to say, man, that's just pie in the sky. I need to be worried about or thinking about what's coming down the pike. And you do. You have to be worried about your bills. You have to be worried about your family, your children, your work. You have to be thinking about it, but not necessarily ruminating about it. You want to have it in the back of your mind where it's not taking up a lot of your bandwidth and your mental space, but it's kind of sitting on a shelf back there. It's not the focus. I'm thinking about when you are just focusing and ruminating and worrying and stressing about the future, and that is taking up your ability to get into the present. So yes, you do have to be mindful and be aware and responsible for what's coming and what your obligations are in the world. But that is different than ruminating, worrying, and stressing. Some people are going to say, well, I'm always in the present. But are you really in the present? Or are you distracted with social media, TV, the radio, something that you heard in the news about some politician, or something that is going on in your social network, some gossip you heard? These things put you out of the present. I want you to realize that, yes, your mind can focus on the future in healthy ways, but that would be a way of, based on you planning your day, strategizing about the future and being very organized. Those things I certainly encourage. But what I'm worried about or talking about now is being so locked into the future that it is distracting you from doing what you need to get done. Friends, this is a good time for me to remind you to hit the subscribe button if this content is helpful for you. And I wanted to thank you for listening to How the Future Cannot Hurt You. And trust me, it can't. The future should be worried about you. Out of here.